At the beginning of the movie, a father and daughter climb up to Troll Peaks. After climbing, the father, Tobias, tells his daughter, Nora, a story about trolls. Then he tells her that the big mountain in front of them is made of troll bones. Nora doesn't believe this at first because she thinks it's just a silly story. But when the sun shines on the big mountain, she is surprised to see the faces of trolls on it. 20 years later, some archaeologists are digging near the water to find dinosaur bones. Nora is a part of this group. She is now a professor of paleontology. A member of her team told her that the university is cutting off their money because they haven't found any dinosaurs. Nora won't give up, though. She finds some dinosaur bones right at this moment, which makes her and her teammates happy. At the same time, a group of miners is digging a tunnel through Troll Peak Mountain as a way to get to their subway project. So, some protesters near them are telling them to stop because what they are doing will hurt the mountains. The miners then use some powerful dynamite to show the protesters that they can't be stopped. When the miners go into the tunnel to see what happened after the explosion, it suddenly shakes and falls apart, killing them all at once. At that moment, the Norwegian military notices a lot of activity coming from Troll Peaks Mountain and sends some planes to find out what's going on. When the general saw a big hole in the mountain, he told the Prime Minister about it right away. They told the Prime Minister not only about the big hole they found, but also about the huge footprints they found nearby. So, they have no choice but to bring together the best scientists who can help them figure out where the hole and footprints came from. One of the people they hire is Nora, who is celebrating with her team right now because they found some valuable dinosaur bones. Right away, the military sends a helicopter to take her back to the capital so she can be told what happened. There, she meets Andreas, the Prime Minister's advisor. He takes her quickly into the dim conference room, where generals, scientists, and other professionals are meeting. Nora is a professor of paleontology, so the meeting can also benefit from her knowledge. But some scientists make fun of her because they think dinosaurs are all she knows. Then, other scientists start to think about what might have caused the holes. Nora, on the other hand, sees that they look like footprints. Again, they make fun of her because there are no animals that big that can leave prints like that. Here, an intelligence officer named Sigurd walks into the conference room to show the footage from the earlier mining disaster, where they confirm that it was a creature that caused all of this. Even with the video, the other scientists still don't think it's a living thing. But Nora is stubborn, and she doesn't want to just talk about whether or not it's true. Instead, she wants to act right away. Nora is given a job as a scientific advisor because the Prime Minister likes how she acts. Then Andreas tells her that they have to go to a valley because of something that happened recently with an old couple's house. Earlier, an old couple has a scary close encounter with the creature when it steps on their house, but they haven't actually seen it. So, Nora and Andreas take a helicopter right away to get there. Andreas talks to her about her interest in paleontology. She says it comes from how much she loved nature as a child. She then tells him that her mother had already died and that her father had gone crazy because he believed in fairy tales too much. Then Andreas says that he has always wanted to be a writer, but Nora stops listening because she can see that the old couple's house is falling apart. Chris, a soldier, tells them what's going on. He tells them that the creature walked through the area and then stopped south of them, which is miles away. After that, the three of them go to a tent to talk to the elderly couple, who have been through a lot. The old man says that the recent event felt like a mountain was moving toward them, and his wife adds that she heard a sad-sounding howl coming from this moving mountain. After getting the old couple's stories, the three people go outside to keep looking into the place. Nora uses UV light to look at the footprint to see if the creature has left a biological mark, but all she sees are rocks and stones. Then they head south to where the footprints are said to have suddenly stopped. The soldier tells Nora, while they are in the helicopter, that the footprints ended on some rocks, which is impossible because the creature is too big to just vanish. All of the details don't make sense, and so far they have only made Nora more confused. Because of this, she tells them to go see his father. So, they go to a small cabin in the middle of nowhere where an old, dirty man with a shotgun and a threat is waiting for them. It's Tobias, and when he sees that it's his daughter, he puts down his gun and lets them in. Andreas notices the newspaper clippings that are stuck to the walls inside the messy house. As Tobias tries to talk about what they say, Nora tells him quickly that something came out of the mountain today. She shows him the video from the first mining accident and tells him that they tried to follow the footprints but couldn't find anything. She then asks him if he can explain this in a scientific way that doesn't involve fairy tales or myths. But Tobias goes on a rant about how these are solid proofs that trolls exist, which the government has tried to hide from the public. Tobias then asks to go on an adventure with them, and Nora has to bring her father along because she needs his help. So, they go back to the end of the footprint trail, where Tobias looks around eagerly for any sign that will prove the trolls are real. After he checks out the area, He tells his daughter that the map shows that the land has changed. Tobias tells Nora that she has lost her childlike curiosity and sense of wonder while they are close together. Nora tells him that she has just grown up. The father and daughter see an eye sticking out of the rocks all of a sudden. It turns out that the rocky area they are standing on is actually a troll taking a nap, proving that trolls do exist. After quickly getting away in a helicopter, they send the video of the troll to the military, which scares the Prime Minister and her cabinet. Nora, Andreas, Chris, and Tobias go to a nearby base to talk with the Prime Minister about what they saw in the video call. Nora tells her father not to use the word troll to describe the creature, but Tobias says it proudly to the cabinet of the Prime Minister anyway. He even tells them that they have made nature go crazy because they have been messing with it. The Prime Minister doesn't believe the old man, so he decides to use the military against the troll. Nora tells her father off for going on another rant about myths and fairy tales. Tobias then tells her that their adventure has just started, which makes Nora curious again like she was when she was a child. Nora, Tobias, and Andreas ask Chris to let them join the military operation because of this. Chris agrees because they are insistent, but only if they will do what he says. So, the military operation at night starts. As they wait for the troll, the father and daughter get back together by talking about the time before they broke up. After some time, the troll shows up, but it stops in its tracks. The general then gives Chris permission to shoot at the stone thing. When a rocket missile hits the troll, the wound heals on its own, which makes it even more angry. So, Chris tells every soldier to attack with everything they have. But when the soldiers saw that their combined attacks didn't hurt the troll, they started to run away. During the chaos, Chris, Tobias, Nora, and Andreas hide behind an upended tree stump with a praying soldier. Tobias tells the others to leave the soldier behind because he is a Christian. Legend says that this is because trolls can smell people with Christian blood. So, the troll grabs the Christian soldier and eats him right away. But instead of running away for good, Tobias decides to make friends with the huge creature, which he does for a short time. But a dumb soldier attacks the monster from behind, which makes the huge creature angry again. The troll then knocks Tobias away by accident and attacks the soldier who is shooting at it before leaving. Tobias lives through the impact, but he is badly hurt. He then tells his daughter in a mysterious way about a king in his palace before finally giving up and dying from his wounds. So, Nora cries her heart out for her father. Andreas and Chris are just as sad as Nora is about this. Soon after that, Nora goes back to her father's military base and reads all of his notes until she falls asleep. The next day, Chris tells Nora that the troll has stopped again in a different valley and that an airstrike will be used to kill it. Nora doesn't understand why the military hasn't learned from what happened last night. She tells them that all the fairy tales about trolls must be true. So, they tell the cabinet of the Prime Minister that they want to use mythology to deal with the troll problem. But one of the cabinet members thinks this is crazy. But Chris, who doesn't believe, backs Nora's plan, which is surprising, because he has seen for himself that modern weapons have no effect on the creature. On the other hand, the general liked this idea because they need to look at all of their options. So, the Prime Minister agrees to go along with what she wants to do, but they hear that the troll is heading toward a park with rides. So, they quickly put their plan to control the creature into action. The plan is to confuse the troll by putting big church bells on 4 helicopters, since trolls hate the sound of church bells. Because of this, they are able to temporarily stop the troll, but they didn't think that it would fight back in the end. Then, the troll quickly shoots down 3 helicopters. But even though he was angry, the troll helped innocent people by stopping a helicopter from falling to the ground. The troll then leaves the park instead of going on its rampage. The news about the stone creature spread like wildfire around the world because of this very public event, which embarrasses the Norwegian government. Since the troll has been brought to the capital's attention, the Prime Minister thinks it needs to be taken down right away by force. Nora is still sure that the troll needs to be dealt with in a different way, but the Prime Minister doesn't listen to her. Nora leaves the building when she realizes that no one will listen to her except Chris and Andreas. Without Nora, one of the Prime Minister's cabinet members suggests that they use nuclear weapons against the troll, even if it will also destroy the city. Because of this, Andreas quits right away and runs to Nora to tell her that the capital is being evacuated. Soon after, the Prime Minister herself says on the news that she is declaring a state of emergency in the capital because of an impending threat. People leave the place right away because of this. While Andreas and Nora are leaving the capital, Nora can't stop thinking about the word sending, which is written over and over in her father's book, but she doesn't know what it means. Then Andreas says that it must be the last name of the Lord Chamberlain who lives in the palace. Then Nora thinks back to what her father said about a king in a palace. When she figures out what's going on, she tells Andreas to quickly turn around and go back to the palace. When they get to the palace in the capital, the guards immediately point their guns at them. All of a sudden, an old man named Sinding walks up and tells his men to stop. Then he tells Nora and Andreas that he knew he would have a guest tonight, but he is surprised that it is Tobias' daughter. Sinding then lets the two of them into the palace. He tells Nora that even though Tobias was stubborn, he knew him well and respected him. Sinding tells the two that, according to history, this palace was built on top of the Troll King's palace. She says this as she leads them to a secret place in the palace. Nora and Andreas are shocked to find out that huge bones of trolls that were killed by humans a long time ago are stored under the palace. It turns out that the troll they met earlier is actually the Troll King, who was lured away from his palace when Christians were spreading the word. So, the Troll King is just going back home, which is what Tobias tried to tell his daughter before he died. Sinding says that when Tobias was about to find out the truth and tell everyone, they locked him up in a mental hospital to stop him. Nora sees that the bones are on fire when she looks at them with her UV light. After figuring out that the troll is weak against direct sunlight, she asks Sinding for the biggest vehicle he has. After she gets the car, she calls Chris and asks him to help them with her plan. He agrees right away. Since they have everything they need, they make a plan to get the Troll King out of the palace and into the nearby park by using the skull of one of the Troll King's relatives. Chris will then set up strong UV lights in the park with the help of some of his soldier friends. These lights will be used to put down the huge creature. While this is going on, the Troll King walks slowly toward the palace, and the soldiers try as hard as they can to bring him down. The Prime Minister finally agrees to use nuclear weapons because their weapons have no effect on the creature. So, they quickly move forward with their plan. While the bomb is being made, Sigrid tells Andreas about the military's plan to do a lot of damage. Andreas then tells her to buy them time by hacking into the military's computer system, which she does. Just in time, Sigrid is able to hack the system and stop the military from bombing. Nora and Andreas meet the Troll King once the military is out of the way. At first, as they drive toward him, the creature drives past them. But when the skull behind the car is found, the Troll King gets angry and chases after them. While being chased, Nora calls Chris and tells him that they need to finish getting ready in less than 10 minutes because they are going there quickly. Chris gives a rousing speech to his fellow soldiers after the call, telling them that they need to act quickly to save their beloved capital. Nora and Andreas are driving to a bridge when they drop the skull behind them. The Troll King looks at the skull and himself for a moment with sad eyes. Knowing that he is the last of his kind, he then drops the skull on the ground by accident and breaks it. In turn, this makes the Troll King even madder at Nora and Andreas. Because of this, the behemoth keeps going after the two. While this is going on, a member of the cabinet finds out that Sigrid is hacking into their system. The military quickly takes control of the bomb again. Nora and Andreas, on the other hand, make it to the park where Chris and the rest of the soldiers are. The angry Troll King hits Nora and Andreas's car, which they are driving. Lucky for them, they are able to get out of the car before it's too late. Chris and the soldiers turn on their UV lights when everything is ready. The Troll King can't handle the bright lights, and he can't move from where he is because the heat is so strong. The military is getting ready to bomb the monster when they see Nora and the others nearby. Because of this, the general tells the pilot to stop the plan because civilians are in the way. Even though the soldiers have already won, Nora can't help but feel sorry for the dying creature. So, she shuts off the UV lights quickly and tells the Troll King to leave right away. But even though she tried her best to save the creature, the morning light came and turned the Troll King into a big rock. Nora decides to call it Tobias Boulder in honor of her father. The Prime Minister and her staff go to the scene right away to look at the big rock. There, she tells Nora that what Nora has done has made her proud. Then Andreas tells the Prime Minister that since he quit, he is going to follow his dream of becoming a writer. Andreas wonders at the end of the movie if there are more trolls out in the wild, which makes Nora smile like she's ready for another adventure. During the credits, something moves inside the cave where the Troll King came from, and then there's a loud howl. The movie is great because it plays with the idea that myths and fairy tales could turn out to be true, which would go against the way we think now, which is based on science. But I think the movie's main message is that no matter what we do, nature will always find a way to get back at us. So, we need to learn to understand nature and live with it, instead of trying to control and destroy it to meet our needs.